Okay, cool. Hi everyone. In this activity, we'll be
Right,
comparing.
sorry.
Wait, is it still recording?
Okay, now it's go. Now go. Now I started.
Hi everyone. In this activity, we'll be comparing two types of soil to see which drains the water fastest and think about why this may occur. The research question is which soil best retains water and why. For this experiment, we'll be using a funnel and cotton wool to determine whether soil or sand drains faster. To start this experiment, we'll first put the ball of cotton wool into the smallest part of the funnel. Next, we'll place soil into the funnel and place the funnel over the clear container. After that, we'll pour 60 ml of water into the funnel all at once without upsetting the soil. As soon as the water is poured, we'll start a countdown of 5 minutes. At the end of the 5 minutes, we'll move the funnel away and observe how much water we can see through the container. Next, we'll dispose the soil and cotton wool and repeat this process with the sand. But before we start our experiment, what might our initial hypothesis be? So, Adela, what do you think our initial hypothesis would be?
Okay, so for me, I think the soil is going to retain more water just because we use it in gardening. Because of that, like it retains the water and it gives the nutrients to plants. So I think because of that, the soil will retain more water than the sand.
Yep.
Yeah,
Emma?
yeah, and I agree with Alila. My initial hypothesis is soil can retain water better than the sand because we use the soil to plant our plants every day, and I think soil got more nutrition and is fertile.
Nice. Okay, Ade?
I think I agree with Sam and Adila as well because the soil can retain more water because it has smaller particles which will let the water for plants to grow.
Okay. So, does everyone agree that our initial hypothesis is that the soil will retain water better than the sand?
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, what might our variables be in this experiment?
So I think one of the variables could be the type of soil we all have. Because we all live in different environments, some soil might be just naturally moist or clumpier than others, and that might be a variable. Like it might make the water harder or easier to flow through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And my variable, I think, is my landlord will put the fertilizer on the soil, and I think he will like water the plant in every day.
Okay, my variable will be that the soil will keep the water in the storage.
Okay, cool. What are some health and safety measures that may need to be taken?
If we're doing it in a classroom setting, have students stay away from it so they don't eat it or drink the water that we're going to use.
Yeah.
And I think the teacher need to check the material before she handle the material to the student, such as check the sand if there any damaged thing inside, like broken glass or something.
Yeah.
And she need to make sure all the student doesn't allergic of the soil. That, yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. So I agree with some. Yeah. Before we conduct the activity, they need to check with students if they're allergic to sand or not. Because some students might allergic to sand. If they play with the sand, they might have the rash on their bodies. And also, the teacher need to give the same amount of equipment because some student might get different equipment, so they might get frustrated. So the teacher need to give them the same equipment.
I think another one would be like the don't use as a weapon that we always talk about. Like just in case they want to throw the sand or throw the water just as a joke or anything like that. Having that don't use it as a weapon will just take that out.
Yeah. So Ade, can you please explain to us the materials you've brought with you and how you're going to set up the experiment?
So for the experiment, we'll need one plastic funnel and one container and one measuring containers and two pieces of cotton wool and 2 tablespoons of dry sand and soil. And most importantly, we might need our phone to timing the times.
Yep. Summer, how do you think we'll start this experiment?
Okay, so now we need to take a small amount of cotton wool on your funnel, like small pieces on the funnel. Make sure everyone can see that. And place the funnel on the lip on the container. And place 2 tablespoons of soil into the funnel about of the cotton wool. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
can
So does
everyone
everyone
see
have
that?
soil in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And pour 60 ml of water into the funnel as one gently. So 60 ml of water.
60 ml.
So that's 2
And-
tablespoons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure when you pour it that the funnel is not touching the bottom of the actual container, because then we'll be able to see the water drain.
Okay, so we have to hold in the funnel. Okay.
Because I've done that and I can already see the water just. Can you guys see that? Water's like already dripped through some, and it's
Yeah.
dripped through.
Yeah. Same with me. My water it's clear, but there's a lot that's come through.
Oh.
So and now we wait for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I started the timer.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not-
know about you guys, but when I first put the water into the soil, it kind of just stayed on top of the soil like another layer, and then I put in the other tablespoon of water, and then it actually started to seep down.
Yeah, so make sure everyone can see my funnel.
I can't really see yours. Okay, now I can. Oh, okay, yours is a lot different. I think mine was
Okay.
yeah, I think my soil was a lot less compact than yours because mine has already emptied and most of the water has already come out.
Yeah, same with mine too.
Yeah.
Oh, my one is
So mine doesn't
a
have
little
much
bit
water left
coming
here.
out.
What was that, Ade?
Mine doesn't have much water left.
Mm.
The insole here, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's absorbed the water quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. What can we notice about the water consistency? Is it clear? Is it dirty for you guys? Because for me, it's quite clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's very clear. Like it's just water down there. It hasn't been through dirt at all.
Yeah. What about you, Summer? What's the water at the bottom look like for you?
I just got a little bit water comes out and it's really clear.
Yeah. What about you, Ade? I can see your water looks like a little bit.
Mine's a little bit dirty, has little bit soil mixed with soil and water as well.
Yeah. What do we think? Why do we think this might be that we all have different water at the bottom?
I
think
because
like. Oh, who wants to talk?
it was me, but Adila, you can go first.
Okay, no, I was gonna say remember the variable how I said we all had different types of soil. I think we can see that now. Like some soil, like Ade's is very muddy, like the water. So I think her soil might not have been compact, but it was very loose. Like it had smaller particles, and that's why the particles came through the water. Whereas me and Talia, I think our water was very it wasn't compact, but at the same time it had larger molecules, so the water just came through it without the dirt particles. That's why the water's clear.
Yeah.
And I think for Summer, I saw her water was on top of the soil a lot, so she might have had more of a moist kind of soil that didn't retain water that well, and the water just sat on top and slowly seeped down.
Yeah. Has your water finished draining, Summer?
Yeah, it's still.
It's still draining?
Yeah.
How much time do we have left?
Another 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So I think maybe Summer was your soil was sort of like a clay style of soil, like it was already clumped together.
Yeah, because we have different type of soil, and I think it's because of we have different size of cotton wood as well. So that's why maybe I think.
Yeah.
True.
I guess depend on the size of the cotton wool.
And also some wool as well, they would be wrapped really tightly. So if we have a really tightly wrapped wool, like less water would seep through because it would just be like soaked into the cotton ball. Whereas I think my cotton ball, like it was very loose, like I could pull it apart with fingers, and I think that's why it made the water go through a bit quicker.
Yeah, there's 40 seconds left too, just letting everyone know.
Okay, that went pretty quickly.
Yeah. Is there anything else we can
That was
observe?
quick.
For the remaining 40 seconds, is there anything else we can observe about it?
My water, like my dirt itself, it's pretty moist, but it's like the color has changed, but it looks like the same. Like it looks still grainy and a bit dry, but the only thing's changed about it is like the color. It's gone a bit darker, so you can tell it's wet.
Yeah, I noticed with mine, I thought like when I wet it, it would kind of be a bit more compact, but it still kept like the same, I guess, consistency.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do agree with Dilas. Yeah, the soil color has changed. After all the water drained down into the cups here, the color has changed. And then when you feel the soil here, it's a little bit moist. The texture is different from before you add the water in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our 5 minutes up.
Okay.
Okay, so at the end of 5 minutes, move the funnel away and observe how much water is in the see-through container. Okay, so everyone hold up your clear containers. Is it the same 60 mils that you poured in?
For me, I can't tell, but it's significantly less than 100 mils. So I'm going to pour it into the smaller container that I have to measure it.
For me, just only feels drop, not much.
For me, it's pretty much all of it. Like, I don't know if you can see
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
50 mils, but it's nearly there.
Yeah, for me, it is nowhere near 60 mils. If I had to guesstimate using this measuring cup, I would say it's about like 30 mils.
Yeah.
Half the measuring cup. So my measuring cup is 60 mils, and it's half of it. So I've got 30 mils of water that came out, and there's another 30 mils that's in the soil still.
No. Okay, so do we think that has something to do with the soil, the soil type?
I would say yes, because we all have different measurements of it, and we all have different types of soil.
Yeah. Okay, so next we need to move on to the sand. So we need to get rid of the soil and the cotton wool.
Before we do that, what is all your measurements for the soil? How much water did you have
Sure.
that came out?
I would say I had 50 mils.
50, okay.
For my one, just only few drop, not even 1 mil.
Not even 1 mil?
Yeah.
And what about you, Ade?
We still measure it. 10 mil.
10. Okay. Right, are we going to do the sand now? Do you want to just do the sand off camera, like without the whole run through of it?
Yep.
Okay, let's do the sand now. And then when everyone's ready to pull the water, have Talia do the countdown, the timer. I'm just going to mute my mic when I'm not talking because there's cars going past and like you can hear it.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm ready to pull the water in.
Okay, I'm ready to start whenever you guys are.
I'm ready.
I'll
Just 1 more minute.
Mhm.
So yeah, I put some sand on it.
Yeah. Okay, are we ready to start?
And water.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Start pouring the water in.
Yep.
Okay. Can anyone see anything happening? I can see there's water coming out from mine.
Yeah, so for me, the water, like,
My
unlike
eyes red.
oil, the sand just, like, took, like, it, how do I say, not evaporated, but it, like, got the water really quickly, like, unlike my soil where the water just stayed on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, my one is come very fast. Zero more water in my funnel.
Yeah. Mine.
My one is different. My one is different from soil. Yeah. So you can see the water come out a little bit slowly,
Yeah.
dripping.
Mine is pretty much like all the water's come out.
Mine
Do you
Yeah,
think?
same as my one. And no
Yeah.
more water inside.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your sand? Yeah. Do you think this has something to do with the type of sand? Because I don't know about you guys, but I got mine from the beach. So do you think that has something to do with it?
My one is from the park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw,
Mine
like,
from the park as
mine, I had a very dry sand, like a beach sort of sand. So mine, it didn't retain the water at all. Like, I just saw it just drip right through.
Okay. I had
mine was.
You go first.
Sorry. Yes. Mine retain the water very well, but it's different, very different from soil. So from soil one, my one doesn't retain the water well. It's very different. It's opposite.
Yeah. With my sand, I feel like it has retained the water really well because there's a lot. Hold on, I'll try and show you. There's a lot less water than with the soil.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe it's because when I pour the water in the sand, it kind of gets kind of thicker like concrete. It's quite hard to move.
Yeah, and you can see the instant color change. Like, whereas in the soil, you have to wait for all the water to drain out for you to see the colors changed. But with
Yeah.
the sand, as soon as you put the water in, you see it darken immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's
and
left too.
yeah, and for my one, a bit sand, like at the bottom of my water.
Oh, there's sand in the bottom of the water.
Yeah.
With me, I think with my sand, it might have had little bits of bark, but there's little tiny pieces of like I think it's just like a little pieces of dirt that was in the sand.
Oh, okay.
What about you guys?
For mine, I can see little bit of sands in the cups
Yeah.
here, and then the water color has changed. It's a little bit darker.
My watercolor is quite clear. Same with the sand. It stayed the same. I think maybe it might be because my sand was quite clean. I sifted it before I used it.
Yeah, same as my one, got some sand
I
at
think-
the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe because of my cotton wool, it's a little bit thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's thin. It's drained most of the sands into the cups here.
How much time do we have left?
We have 1 minute left. So are there any other things that you can observe about this experiment?
I think another thing, like you said, when you put the water into the sand, it's sort of like, it looked like it became a lot thicker, like
Yeah.
harder to touch and stuff like that. Whereas the soil for me didn't do that at all. It just looked like the water just wetted a bit and then just drained right out. But for the sand, it looked like it retained it because the water, like the color of the sand changed, and it looked like it became a totally different consistency.
Yeah. There's 40 seconds left. Oh, sorry, 30 seconds left.
And I think we took our sand from different environment, so maybe the result got the different as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that would change the results.
Because I have like sand that people use for like decoration, for like potting and like gardening in general. And maybe mine would have had some sort of minerals attached to that already to make it really soft and like
Yeah.
that might be the biggest difference.
What temperature was your water when you poured it in? Because mine was just room temperature.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah, same as mine. Yeah.
My skin temperature as well, yeah.
5 minutes is up. Okay.
we just measure how much water came out.
Yep. I'd say mine's approximately 40 mils.
40. And how much did you get, Summer?
And I got 30 here.
30 mils. What about you, Ade?
I'm still measuring. Wait.
I'd say I had about 40 mils as well.
$30 as well.
30. All right.
Okay. Have you recorded?
Oh, sorry, 10.
10.
10, sorry, 10. Yeah, 10.
All right.
Yeah, it's 10.
Okay. So now that we've done both of them, which medium do you think would be wetter in 10 minutes and why?
Oh, I'd say definitely sand.
Yeah, I would say sand as well. I think it just not retains the water, but I think it sticks together more when it's wet, so it's gonna be a lot wetter in 10 minutes.
And again, I think it depends on what type of sand we have. Like the ones that me and you had, we've noticed that it definitely changed the consistency a lot. Whereas the soil that we had, it didn't do that a lot. The soil just stayed the same, but the only difference was the color of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as mine because I think it's sand for me as well because when I put the water on the funnel, and I definitely can see the sand stick together because my sand is not from the beach, so it's a little bit soft sand, not the dry sand, not really dry.
I think I'm agree with Summer as well. As you can see here, in the 10 minutes, the sand will be more wetter because you notice that the sand is a little bit sticky. And then the color hasn't changed much.
Yeah. Okay. Which medium do you think would be drier in 10 minutes and why? I personally think the soil. I feel like it's a lot more, I think it's just a lot looser than the sand when it's wet. Like, I noticed with my sand when it was wet, it was more compact and kind of a bit more solid than the soil.
Yeah. Like gardening stuff, like the soil, after you've like watered and stuff, it will very quickly dry because the soil will just take it down to the roots of the plants or like down to the bottom of the soil. So the top part of it would be almost dry.
Yeah.
So I think after 10 minutes, the water would all have seeped down.
Yeah, and I agree because I think soil would be the drier one in 10 minutes because when I put the water on the funnel, the soil is stuck on it. The water doesn't come full much, but when I do the sand with same material, the same funnel, same size of the cottonwood, but the sand won't let the water come very fast.
Yeah, I do agree with Summers because like I told you before, my soil you get it dry quickly. So I think maybe because of the air, and then my type of soil is a little bit it has a bark in it, and then there's a little bit type of clay in there, and they get dry quickly.
Yeah. Okay, which medium retains water better and which one doesn't and why?
Definitely it's soil for me because as I said before, the water stuck on the top, like it didn't come full much. So for me, definitely soil retain the water better than the sand.
And for me, it's like the opposite of summer because from what I saw, my soil it released 30 mils of water, and my sand released. Oh no, wait, same as summer, my bad. So yeah, my sand retained 10 mil more of the water than the soil, and I think that because of that, I think the soil would. Oh wait, what did I just say? I'm sorry, I'm like half dead. The sand.
I noticed the same with my my sand. Like it retained, I think it was 10 milliliters more than the soil. So I have the same as Adila. What about you, Ade?
For me is my sand is can retain more water than the soils. I think it's maybe because of my the sand is a little bit thicker than the soil, and before that, when I add in the water in my soil, it's absorb the water quickly.
Yeah.
And for the sands one here, it's absorb water slowly. So I think my sands retain more water.
Okay, so Adila, what was everyone's findings? Because I know you recorded them.
Yeah, so for the soil, I had 30 mils that came out. So this is not the water retained, this is the water that came out. So I had 30 mils come out. For Talia, for soil, she had 50 mils come out. Summer had 1 mil only. Ade had 10 mils. And for the sand, I had 40 mils come out. Talia had 40 mil come out as well. Summer had 30 mil come out, and Ade had 10 mil come out.
How do you think we could display these findings?
So personally, I think because it's you're comparing two things, I think a bar chart would be a good way to represent it.
Yeah.
We can have amount of mils on the y-axis, and we can have the type that we're measuring on the x-axis. So we have two different sorts of information we're comparing.
Yeah, I agree too. Like with a bar graph, it's a lot easier to kind of compare and contrast the two. Like with the soil and the sand, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah. And also, I think it'll be easier if we're doing it in a classroom setting for any year level. A bar chart is a very easy visual to see because you can see like something is better or something is worse because you see them in the bars. So you get to notice the information and to understand the information.
Yeah, it's like an easy way to display it, especially for the younger grades. If they're just starting to get introduced to bar graphs, it'll just be a lot easier for them to see it and understand it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we lost Ade.
Hopefully she will reconnect soon.
Hopefully. She's meant to be doing CDSU, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think we just move on to the final hypothesis. She might join back again.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so what is our final hypothesis?
So my final hypothesis is same as my initial hypothesis. I found out soil is retaining the water better than the sand.
Yeah.
And as I say, I think because of my landlords put the fertilizer on the plant every day, or maybe like once a week. So maybe because of the soil is fertile, so make my what can retain the water better.
Yeah. Yeah, because what did our findings say? Did it say the soil or the sand retained water better?
So for the I think it depended on what we had.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. We're just
talking about our final hypothesis.
Yeah.
Okay, my internet went down. Sorry.
It's okay.
So for me, for my results, because I think we all had different types of soil and sand. For mine, my soil retained 30 mils of water, whereas my sand retained 20 mils of water. So just looking at my findings, it did support my initial hypothesis where I said the soil will retain more water. So because of that, I'll say that my final hypothesis is that my soil did retain more water than the sand, and it was shown through my findings.
Yeah, I think I had a slightly different one because my sand, I think my sand can, what's it called? I forgot the word for it. It kind of contained more water at the end. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your sand retained 20 mils of water, and your soil only retained 10 mils of water.
Yeah. Okay, Ade, do you have your final hypothesis?
So my final hypothesis is incorrect because my soil didn't retain much waters, which my soil lost the gravitational. So my soil lost the gravitational, so which all the waters drained out quickly. So when I enter the funnels into the soil, so the soil will drain down the water quickly. So which my hypothesis is incorrect.
Okay. And what would our CDSU be for the experiment?
So for this CDSU experiments, because some of you guys said that the soil can retain the water, and most of you guys say that the water can retain the water, but because the soil has a particular larger surface, and it's heavier than sand, so when you add into the waters, it will absorb the water slowly. But as for the sands, when you into the funnel, the water will absorb slowly. Maybe because of the text, no, because of the sand, it has a larger particle and it will absorb the water slowly. But as for mice, it's different. It's absorb the water quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
So I'll just, sorry, to bring the attention back to the graphing. So I was looking at the averages, and for average for soil, so in average just of our scores, we retained 24.75 mils of water in the soil, whereas for the sand, we remained 30 mils of water. So clearly, just looking at the results, we, as an average, have retained more water in the sand than we have in the soil. But when you look at it individually, like, because of so much variables and stuff, everyone had different different findings, and that's very interesting to see that our averages show that sand retains more water, but individually we've seen some of us that the soil retains more water. So I just thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else? Okay, Ade?
I guess my variable is because my variable is changes because I think that my variable for the soil will make retain more water, but which is incorrect. So it's it's different. It's very, very different from what I thought.
And I think it just brings us back to the CDSU of like how we all had different soils and different waters. Our different particles were different. Like some had larger particles that made it harder for the water to pass through. So ultimately more water was retained. Like if you saw in a day, the sand, there was a lot of water standing right there, like on top of it, like not draining. And you could make the assumption that it's because the sand particles for her were thicker than they were for, say, Talia, whose water just simply drained through.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like mine, because as you can see, there's still water in the sand. Maybe because of the sand, it's a little bit thicker. But as for Talia one, her sand, maybe it's a little bit thinner, doesn't know, because her one is absorb the water quickly. Yeah, absorb the water quickly. Yeah.
I think because of my soil is with a little bit small leaf on it, so that's why maybe make my water like stick on the top. Not didn't go full much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is to do with our like variables, things we can't control. Like Summer said before, even with the health and safety, to make sure that there's no foreign objects in the sand. Like for example, sand, like they had like little leaves and stuff, like some things that you might not be able to see when you experiment and stuff. So just like make sure of that, so we have a fair experiment and we have fair results.
Yeah, I think I get my sense from the part because it has little bark in that, and it has little bit soil in there as well. So it includes soil and sands and a bark, which did retain the water very well. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess to kind of make it less of a variable, you could sift it before using it. yeah, just like sifting it and double checking, especially in a classroom. I think it's important for the teacher. I think someone mentioned this earlier, like the teacher will need to go through and just make sure that there's no like broken glass or anything that could be a possible hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suggest my formal suggestion is that the teacher should need to provide the same resources, like the same sands and the same soil as well, so we can get the same amount of the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Does anyone else have anything to add? Or have we covered it?
Yeah, I think we covered everything that we can think of.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Thank you, facilitator.
Okay,
I
thanks
just got
everyone.
a thing to want to add on. In this experiment, I learned the we need to control everything need to be the same to get the better result and to do the fair test.
Yeah. And I think one thing I learned that I mentioned, the averages, like for us, our averages show that sand retained more water, but individually you might have seen that soil retain more water, like myself. And again, that's bringing back to the variables, like control the variables to have a fairer test and stuff. So that's something I learned, that even though the averages say one thing, when you look at it individually, there's a different story. So it's very interesting.
I completely agree. That's one thing I learned too. I thought kind of if it was individually like the soil would retain more water, I thought that would be reflected as a whole, but I was surprised by that.
Okay.
Are they?
Yeah, because like I said before, I thought that the soil will retain water, but yeah, which is wrong. Then and in references, I learned that the sand retain more waters.
Yeah. Okay. I think we
Okay.
covered everything.
So I stop the recording.
Okay.
All right, thank you.